Hello, welcome back to Print Island and to the Lighthouse here on the island. My name is Richard Askam. I am, as you know, the Lighthouse keeper. And it's a beautiful day here on Print Island. You can probably see the sun is shining in my eyes from our wonderful view from the island out over the world of print. And I'm joined today by a fabulous guest. We've just decided between us that it's 3 years ago since we met back in Fespa at what was the first year of the personalisation experience at the Fespa show. And I remember Angelo very well. And I'm delighted to have you back on Print Island today. Welcome, Angelo Coletta.
Thanks a lot for inviting me. Happy to
No, it's an
to stay
absolute
here
pleasure.
with.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. And I guess if there's anybody outside of the world of Print Island that doesn't know who you are, or what you do, or why you do it, give us a quick flyby introduction of your world.
Okay, yeah. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founder of Zakeke. Zakeke is a visual platform based on AI that enable merchants to do many things in the front end to change the experience. They can customize things in 2D, 3D, having a 3D preview on try-on experience now, AI try-on experience based. And in backend, what is more important, we help companies to cut their operational cost in a different way in the different industries. For example, in the print industry in general, we cut a lot of cost of any pre-sales activities, and we fix a lot of the problems in the output files in terms of speed, quality, and things like that. So in general, we help them to save between 50 and 70% of their cost in the pre-sales.
Wow, I mean
And
that's
in the meanwhile, because of the technology, we open some sales window like the Christmas period, where generally because we cut the time of the ping pong with the customers and pre-sales team, they can sell more because they have more time to sell. We short the time between the first contact and the output.
It's amazing, and that 50 to 70%, that really is incredible, Angelo. And I know when we first met back in, I think it was Munich, was the Fespa event that we were both working at, and
Yeah,
I remember chatting
sure.
to you at the time because obviously my background with personalization goes back 150 years, it feels, and I remember saying to you at the time that I wish that I'd had the tools that are now available in the marketplace. Back when I was doing the Share a Coke campaign in 2014, and that world, that it's moved on so much, hasn't it? And even in the last 3 years since we last saw each other, the rate of development is exponential, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Sure. There's a lot of things in this space that we can do. And for example, now we are releasing a new super tool for this world that is the iMedia Factory. In this case, we simplify, or maybe we provide some specific AI-based feature that enable merchants, for example, to create a massive content for catalogs, for online visualization, for internal DAM, for example. What is interesting, but we don't use like all AI as a prompt, but we use it like as a process in a workflow. So you can imagine the output. For example, you are a gadgeting company. You wanna at the same time, every time you change one of these item online, you wanna have five different still life photo. Then you wanna see the product by its own on a table or in some context that you like. Then you wanna create a video with someone that is try on for example, the t-shirt, and then maybe you want to create some ads specifically from that product. Everything is a workflow, and you can use workflow inside Zakeke, and you can use this workflow if you need outside of Zakeke. So in this case, is another tool to cut other kind of costs inside the company. So in general, Zakeke cut the cost of operation in the sales cycle and the production cycle. This part is to cut the costs that are linked to the promotion of these kind of items online inside the company, the B2B channel. And it's an incredible tool that enables merchants to really, if they have a lot of items, this cuts 95% of the time and cost.
And this is the thing, isn't it? That it's a misconception, I think, out there in the big wide world that AI is some kind of silver bullet, some kind of answer to everything. But you've just said it quite clearly that it is another tool in the toolbox. That businesses since the dawn of time have been looking for improvements and let's call them marginal gains in their production cycle. And I know it's had a lot of bad press and it continues to get a lot of bad press, AI, because people are a little bit scared of it. But we've always been scared of new things as human beings. It's our nature, isn't it? Really, we're very slow to adopt new technologies, but it's interesting to hear you say how much benefit it brings to the workflow, because I think it's being overlooked, that isn't it, as the gain from a production perspective.
Yeah, there is a bit different because, in the adoption of AI inside the enterprise, you have to think about, the problem that AI has by, so, for example, hallucination, the, the AI can be outside of guardrail. So when you think about a workflow is not only a workflow to produce an output, but to check if the output has, for example, a breadth consistency, if it's compliance with AI Act, European AI Act, or United States new regulation,
Mm.
if there are some rules that AI can't jump in any case. So in the workflow, you can offer a certified AI inside the process. And this is an important thing for an enterprise adoption because many times, you see something that you like, but you have some doubt because but if I do this massively, what happens? I can check if everything is going always good, no, because it's a parametric process, you can't be sure that it will be always the same. So the consistency of the process is one of the main assets that you need to provide to an enterprise to push the company adopt the AI with, in a safe mode.
Mm. And you
So I
you
think that now the balance is that on one side there are thousands of new AI adopters. Anyone is inventing one prompt or is using one AI or another for doing something, but the the market and at the enterprise level needs solution. They guarantee they are not put in a problem, their process, their sales process, their production process, just because of AI. No, because, and that's what is behind the idea of workflow, because it's not only AI, but it's AI inside the box where you can feel more comfortable about the quality and the consistency of the output.
and I think that's really important. You mentioned the word regulation there, and I can see the world adopting AI quite quickly. But I think with most new technologies, there's always that wild west, isn't there? When it first comes out, and everybody thinks it's going to be this, and everybody thinks it's going to steal their job, and so on and
Yeah,
so
sure.
forth. And like any evolution, some of that is true. I had a lovely conversation a few weeks ago on Print Island about when cars replaced horses. And so about 100 years ago, and there was a picture of a guy who knew he needed a car, but he still wanted to keep the horse. So he used the horse to tow the car with. So we always have this human condition
Sure.
that okay, we'll have a bit of your new technology, but I think people will, once it's a bit more regulated, shall we say, I think people will calm down a little bit and start to see it as a very, very useful tool inside their business, not least of which in the workflow, but across all departments of their business.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. So for sure, there are some typical, conservatorist energy inside the market, and it's, humankind. Yeah, typically every time the story. On the other side, uh, is a super powerful tool that needs some guardrails and some process that have to be controlled. Because without maybe AI can work 99% well for you, but the only 1% doesn't work, making mistakes that cost you more of the time, of the money that you have saved before. So, regulation in this case, it could be very useful to help market and enthusiasm work together to create something that really works to improve the results of the company. No, so AI is not only a joke or maybe a frontier of creativity. Sure, you can do a lot of things faster or whatever, but the at the end of the game, what is important for you if you are a company is, can I gain more money or save more money?
Mm.
The question is always the same, because everything could be nice, but by the end of the game, it doesn't allow this kind of two things. You don't adopt it. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you adopt for your personal life, yeah, but you don't adopt in the company. So we're working hard to provide AI that can be adopted immediately, and so we can break resistance because we have answers for that.
Yeah, and it's always about balance, isn't it? I mean, if we use the lens of football, for example, a team that wants to win the league, La Liga, or the Premier League, doesn't just buy more goal scorers; they have to buy goalkeepers as well. So you can score many more goals, but if you let them all in at the other end, so it's finding
Yeah,
that balance. A balance of use, balance of understanding. And I know in my conversations with you back at Fespa all those years ago, it was that's what you were looking for, I think, with Zakeke as a solution. And certainly from where I watch the world of print from the sidelines to a certain extent and see the impact that these sort of tools are having, and it's remarkable in terms of what it's enabling. Ultimately, the customer, the consumer, to be able to get from their print partners, isn't it?
yeah, totally. I totally agree with you. And what I can tell you is that in the last years we have accumulated a lot of experience. We have thousands of customers in the printing industry, from small guys, medium company, big players. So we know that they want to solve the same problems, but at different scales, with different interaction with different main channels. So if you are a big company, many times you have more sales channels together. You have a pre-sales team of 30 person that is different when you are a family, maybe your father and the son. The company has the same problem but different scale. What is interesting at Zakeke is that we have two kind of, plan. There are a self-provisioning plan for the small guys on the one side, and we have enterprise plan for big companies. And this is a solution to provide a professional tool to everyone, uh, with different features, all in terms of scales and interaction with third parties. That is a typical enterprise level needs in front of what is for a small company, what they need for a small company. But what is interesting that the quality of output um, basically is the same because the platform is one. And we try to help this industry to provide, the best performance that possible in terms of quality of interaction in the sales process on one side, and the best way to save time in the back office. That is the other big problem in the industry. They became efficient and they gain money many times when they save cost.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
so
that
we try to help them to have a platform that can help them to do this job.
And presumably, depending on the different size of the companies, because we know, that something like 80% of print businesses have got less than 10 employees around the world. There is a huge proportion of the print industry which is relatively small businesses, and then the big ones are huge, as we know. So I'm guessing that you have different entry points, in terms of how this is priced.
Sure.
We talk about saving money. If you could, if every pound you spent, if every euro you spent saved you 10 or 50 or 100. You'd do that all day long, wouldn't you?
Yeah. This is exactly what we do. For sure, big companies, maybe they can cut 20 people in the pre-sales team. The value perceived is totally different from maybe a small company of three guys that the real advantage and maybe they go home before in the night. Yeah. And so for someone is changing the quality of life, for the other one is changing the balance sheet at the end of the year. So there, and that's why we have different price, different model for different entry point, so everyone can find the value that they can compare with the price they are going to pay.
Yeah, always keep the accountants happy. That's my view.
Yeah,
And
we
you've
love
been
everyone, small and big. We love everyone.
perfect. I
We
like that.
love people that works. Yeah.
And tell me how did you get into this world? I mean, Zakeke is a as you said, you're one of the co-founders. What how did you get into that world? Has it
Yeah.
always been of interest to
Yeah.
you?
Well, it's a strange story because I created different company, tech company in my life in different field, and I've sold to multinational company during my life. So the idea start from I was observing something in different, not only for the printing industry, but the idea is that many things are changing inside the company for the robotization, any kind of robotization, printing robotization too, in
Yeah,
this case. On the other side, people want things that they can help them to feel special. Okay, so they want to pay more for customized things. And on the other side, uh, some technologies, in my opinion, were ready to be used in the Web3. So, and this layer is improving in the years. Now the AI is the new piece of this layer that I have in my mind, but 3D, 2D customization, interaction dynamically with product, any kind of back office activities that you can virtualize. So a lot of things, a lot of data that you can use for improving the process in the front end and back end too. For example, using an algorithm of computer vision, we cut the cost of bad printing that in general is around 2% of the production. They made some mistakes because the output and the print doesn't work exactly very well. It's not, is a little bit misleading, but can be a mistake. For example, we help company to go from 2% to 0.5. If you're a big company, it's a lot of money.
yeah,
But all these things um, were becoming useful, they can be used inside this framework. So my
sure.
idea is, okay, I have to create a framework that enable merchant to providing this piece of new experience, a piece of new organization in the backend in a simple way. And that's why we have created Zakeke, to try to democratize the access to this mix of technologies together that can create a lot of value for their business.
I like that. That's a great explanation. And I'm guessing that even as a young man, and maybe even as a young boy, you liked solving problems. Is that something that you enjoy as
Yeah,
a as
sure,
yeah?
sure. Yeah, yeah. I think that anyone loves to create company has a mind that loves to solve problems. I love problems because I know that any problems has a solution. So it's the way that why we are happy to work hard to solve any day new problems, to listen customers, to learn more about their problems, and so find solution, creative solution for the problem. But what is interesting of a problem that you know that there is a solution,
Mm,
but you know that can be maybe hundreds of solutions many times, but only one is very a special solution. So it's not only about solution, it's about quality of solution. And this quality of solution make what I say, the quality of the services that you are creating. And I'm very happy to have a great team to solve problems with the mindset behind that is we love solve problems. It's not problems like, oh, another problems to solve. No, there is two approach about problem. In general, if you work in a multinational company, the idea is, oh, another problems. Oh my God. When you create a company, the idea is, oh, we're looking for problems
yeah.
because we're the best one to solve. Yeah, you enjoy a lot. Yeah, I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a mindset, isn't it? I think that you either have or you
Yeah,
don't
sure.
have, and then that means that you enjoy what you do, which is brilliant. And I've been trying to work out, Angelo, what Zakeke means, and whether it was an acronym, whether it stands for something, whether it was your middle name,
It
whether
was,
it
it,
was
wa-
that. What does
yeah,
it what
it
does it
was,
mean?
yeah, it was an old instrument from Africa that it could be used for creating different music during the tribu party. So because
Okay.
they can create a lot of things mixing, it's in a very old instruments. We love the idea they can put together different sounds, and so it's like customization something. Yeah,
I like that. So there is
and
actually.
make people happy. On the other
Yeah,
side,
yeah, yeah,
people is
yeah.
happy
No, I like that. I
when they
like
buy
that.
something.
So you can. There is such a thing as a zakeke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is after a long time we find because we're starting to with the brainstorming. Then we used to find old word, and then maybe something special from music, from space, from whatever. At the end, and someone that looks nice in any language, you know.
Hmm.
So I say that we found Zakeke, the yeah, the domain was free, another big problem to solve. And you say, okay, Zakeke, Zakiki, Zakiki, that because everyone in the language changed something, but it works in any language, okay, it's okay. And what can I see after some years that in general people love the name? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
something that is musical. Yeah, they remember it. So I think it was a good choice.
It's one of those rare things as well because it actually looks really good written down. It's quite artistic as a form of letters when you see it written down.
Yeah, yeah,
It looks brilliant, sounds brilliant, is brilliant. So that's perfect all round, isn't it? And what sort of music are you into? Seeing as we're on the subject of music, what would you, if you had to listen to a piece of music, what would you choose? What's your favourite sort of music?
in general, I love rhythm and blues. I love reggae, and I love classical music too.
Okay, so just
But when I
good
was
music.
very young, I was a DJ, so I played a lot of music, house,
Okay.
acid music, acid jazz, and many other things like that.
Okay, see, now we're getting into it. Now we're learning a little bit more about Angelo Coletta, ladies and gentlemen.
In that
Uh,
case, the best music is the music that the people in front of you love. Yeah, you have to change.
I
Try
totally
to,
agree. Yeah,
yeah,
a good song is a good song, right? Doesn't really matter what the genre
yeah,
is. It's yeah. I agree.
yeah,
And
sure.
and I spent many years in the wine business, Angelo, for in the first part of my working life, and I always used to say the same: if you like it, it's a good wine. And it's as simple as that. What would
I
you choose?
totally, I
Are you a
totally agree.
red wine or a white wine man?
I'm a red wine.
Okay, and which one would you choose if you had to?
Oh, I love some Sicily brands. In Italy, I love some Piemonte brands like Barolo, for example,
Ah, yes. Well,
as a
that's
red wine. So I
the
think that
king of wines.
between, yeah, I love these two red wine from two regions that are extreme,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
different.
and they
And
give totally different things, don't they? Because I would say Barolo is for drinking in the evening, and Sicilian wine is for drinking in the day.
yeah, it's a good idea. This, yeah. And there are
Excellent.
some special, in Borgonia, there is a lot of lovely red wine too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I agree. So, listen, what have you got in store for 2026 for Zakeke? We understand all about the super tool. I think that's a brilliant name. What's your plans for the rest of the year? What do you see coming down the track?
Yeah, the idea for us, for sure, the main things that we are releasing is AI Media Factory. That is a really super powerful tool. In the meanwhile, we are improving a lot of things in the integration, in the 2D dams. We have created a lot of new effect that you can provide in the front end. We have integrated new sales channel. We have integrated new PIM and DAM on the back end. Oh, and there is another good things that we have done. We have finally be certified in the um, Mac Alliance. That's it's like a global certification that you
Yeah.
are in. In a I can tell you in a small, really small elite worldwide of the I can say software really well done in terms of composable commerce. We
Yep.
are one of the 100 companies that are in these very close clubs, and I'm very happy because we are the only one of the six scale up in this world, and we are the only Italian at the moment. Because there is another one,
Congratulations.
but in the reality, the founder is Italian, but the company is US based.
Ah, well,
So
doesn't count.
yeah, there's a
Yeah,
count. So and
congratulations. That's brilliant.
and so we try to continue to this job. Then we release a new version of the platform every 2 months. So
Wow.
there is a lot of releases planned for these years, and I'm sure that customers will find every time new things, new surprise sometimes, or something that works better like when you release clothes, they say, "Oh, now it's worked well, and it's worked better than yesterday." Yeah, this is the goal. We want
Yeah.
to make things better than yesterday every day.
Well, as long you sounds like you've got a busy year. As long as you leave yourself some time to drink some nice red wine and listen to some great music, then life will be a happy place.
Sure, it's a good plan, I think.
Good, excellent. Well, listen, thank you for taking the time to join me here on Print Island. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up, and I look forward to seeing you somewhere soon. Hopefully, sooner than the 3 years that it's been in between since we last saw each other. But Angelo Coletta from Zakeke, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot to be host of this island.